Okay, so this is where, in theory, everything comes together. We have our custom posts with our custom post types of pizza, pizza 2, and hiking trails. And then we've added some advanced custom fields. Actually, it's right here. So we have custom fields using advanced custom fields plugin that are only in our pizza 2 post type. And then in the last video, we talked about how we manipulated the archive-pizza 2 file so that it would spit out the content that we want. We haven't talked about that content yet, but it's content-pizza. Same exact thing with a single post. We're going to use content-pizza. So what I wanted to show you first was the content template file by default. So if you did not use any of these um, custom templates using the template hierarchy, this is what you would get. So this is the default WordPress content file, which actually is, I believe, what is being used for all posts. So for my blog, it's just, and we can go look at this, and we can see that right there it's post and then content.php. So all the site is using with the regular blog is just content. It's just the normal content file. So, and again, going way back a bunch of videos ago, looking at patterns, it's the same exact thing we talked about before, which is if it's a single post, it's going to throw an H1 tag with the title in there. If it's the front page or the home page, it's going to throw an H3. And then the only really piece that I want to show you here is the content. And the content is a WordPress function that spits out whatever is in that content editor in a blog. So if I'll just show you for giggles, we go back to the post and we look at my awesome cow. That's this thing. So the content is just going to spit out what is in this content editor here. So that little chunk of code is all you really need to do in order to get your the content from the WYSIWYG editor, the default WordPress editor, to show up on your page. Now, like we talked about earlier, with our pizzas 2 post type, there is no WYSIWYG editor. So all we're using here are our post types. So we have no need for the content. We're going to end up using the title, of course, but we don't have a post thumbnail. We don't need hardly any of this stuff. So that's why we changed it. So we created a content-pizza2 file, which is this guy here, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. I can make it bigger than that, actually. And so what I've basically done is I've taken that content.php file, really stripped it down to be just what we need. So we created our own image holder in that custom post type in the advanced custom fields. We added an image. So here's our image, and then this is how we pulled the image source in. Here's our list of ingredients, preparation, and cooking. So what I want to talk about today is how do we build these and how do we use PHP to get the content to show up from our advanced custom fields. Well, the way you get started in any of this stuff is well, of course you're going to Google it, but if you go to the advanced custom fields website and you go to their documentation, they have all of the fields listed over on the side. And so if you just do a regular text field, they show you how it works in the normal part as far as the editor goes, and then this is a little snippet here that we're really after. And honestly, the field is what they use in order to get, it's like an echo statement, and if you're familiar with PHP, it's basically going to echo out the contents of whatever field you tell it. It's truly that simple. So if you come back here and we look at our actual template file, and I'm going to go down to the ingredients because they're a little bit easier to see. We've created an unordered list, and for a list item, we have just asked it using literally copied and pasted, and then all I put in here was the slug. And I'm going to show you that just so that you can see where I'm grabbing that. If I go to custom fields, we have our 2 field groups. And for ingredient 1, it gives you the field name right here. And again, it's going to be a slug, so it's going to have no spaces. I don't believe any capitals, no funky characters. It's going to be pretty limited to what you can use. So all you really need to do is copy and paste that and make sure you put it in single quotes. in here, and then you have your ingredients show up by just putting the field, and then preparation instructions, cooking instructions, and then of course our actual pizza image. So that's truly it. That's really as simple as it is as to get things to show up on your page. You can see that I'm using some regular HTML. It's the beauty of a PHP template file is you can use regular HTML and then mix it with PHP. So this little chunk of PHP is going to grab that ingredient and then grab the preparations, instructions, and whatever. Now, if you have been looking at my file, you're probably seeing some GetField if statements in there. And this is kind of like, I strongly recommend using these. And the reason is this little snippet of PHP, what it's doing, and I'll just use this whole thing as an example. What this is doing is it's saying, so what GetField will do, I'm sorry, I keep kind of going back. What GetField will do is it actually gets the contents of the field if there are any. So what you could do with that is you could get the field pizza image or get a number or get some sort of value from your post, your custom post or wherever that field lives, and then do something with it, kind of like a filter if you've messed with filter hooks, and then spit it out later on. But all this is really doing is saying if there is any content at all in this pizza image field, so look at that field and tell me if there's any information in it, if there's any content. And if there is, then awesome. Spit out this div and spit out the pizza image. And then we're just ending the if statement. You don't have to say otherwise do nothing. That's one of the cool things about PHP. You can keep it pretty clean. So, and I keep doing that. So basically what I wanted to make sure of was if there are no ingredients listed, then don't show this ingredients tab because it would look silly to have an ingredients tab with nothing in it, right? So I say, all right, look at the first field. So if there's anything in ingredient 1, chances are they're going to have, you're not going to put something in the ingredient 2. It would be silly, right? You could put that on every one of these list items, of course, but there's no reason to do that. So this is just saying if there's any content in ingredient 1, then spit out the whole list. And then the same thing with preparation instructions, same thing with cooking. So if there's no content in there, don't print anything, but if there is, show us. And so let me just show you how that looks on the front end. So we'll go back up here to pizzas 2, and we know we have information in pepperoni, right? So if I go to the pepperoni file, we have ingredients, we have preparation instructions, and we have cooking instructions. So everything is there, and then we have an image that I messed around with some CSS. However, if we go back to Hawaiian, you'll notice that there's nothing there. Now, if I had not put this, well, let's just comment it out, right? So if I comment that out and hit refresh, what we should see is an empty list for ingredients because WordPress doesn't know any better and it's saying, well, you didn't put an if statement, so it's going to spit out the H3 ingredients and it's going to spit out this UL even though all these things are empty. And so it just looks unprofessional. So if we just take those, if there is nothing in there, then don't show them, and then our ingredients will disappear. And I'm not sure what I put in here for veggie. Let's go take a peek at that. Okay, so veggie has cooking instructions, and preparation instructions and ingredients. So this is a great example of why you would actually want to put this if statement on every one of these fields is because now if we go look at the we'll go look at our pizzas 2 and look at our gross veggie, we're only going to have, it's not gross veggie, sorry, it's a regular veggie, there's nothing in ingredient 5. So because we don't have an if statement there, it's still going to spit out that LI, that list item, even though there's no content in there. So that's hopefully a good explanation of why you would use that if get field. I can hear my formatting friends telling me to make these consistent. Why you would use an if get field, which will go look at that field, make sure there's some content in there, and then if there is content, then we use the field, which will actually produce the will actually spit out the content.